everyone, Thomas here and welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing a renovation / upgrade of my country home in The Sims 4 Cottage Living. So in case you didn't know, I was actually lucky enough to build 3 official lots for The Sims 4 Cottage Living, and this is one of them, a 50 by 40 country home. And if you've seen the speed builds of those 3 builds, I did say that I wanted to go back through them and kind of renovate them in a way. I mean, I'm kind of happy how they are already, but just kind of upgrade them without EA restrictions, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So I haven't done the 2 starter homes yet. Let me know what you think about that, because I feel like it's going to be quite a challenge to like upgrade starter homes but also still keep them starter homes. So let me know if you think I should still do those, or if you have any other ideas. That'd be great to hear. So this video isn't like really long or anything because the house was already built, so I was just kind of going through and seeing where I could improve things. But as I said, this took a lot of months to build, so I was pretty happy with it how it was. So just making some minor upgrades. And in terms of like EA restrictions, in case you don't know what I mean, since this was built for the actual pack, there was a lot of different kind of things to make sure it will run on all different types of computers. So, you know, I couldn't use move objects and other kind of restrictions on the type of items that kind of use more game performance, if that makes sense. But if you want to learn all about that type of thing, then I explained that in the original speed build video, and the same for the other 2 builds I've done, which is the starter home in the village and also the starter home in the forest at the very top, Cordelia's secret cottage. So if you want to learn the process about how I built those 3, then go ahead and watch those speed builds. But yeah, so today I'm just going to show you kind of what I did to kind of manually improve this a little bit, basically just adding some more things in than what I had with the EA restrictions. But yeah, so this is up on the gallery if you want to go ahead and download it for yourself. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1, and it's really weird to say this, but if you want the original build, then it's in the game already, so you can just open a new game save and that'll be in your actual game. But if you want this upgraded version, then like I said, it's on the gallery. So this came in at 131,433 simoleons, which is not really that bad, to be honest, for a home of this size, and it still has 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms as it did originally. And when I started doing this renovation, I was like, do I just keep it to base game and cottage living, or should I include some more packs? So I decided to include some more packs with it, just so I could do the upgrades that I kind of had in mind. So aside from cottage living being used, I also used eco lifestyle, seasons, cats and dogs, and get together. Cats and dogs and get together were actually really paired really well with this pack. I found I used them quite a few times during this build in different areas. The kind of finishing styles worked really well with this pack, so use them. And then for the game packs, I only used Parenthood and Dine Out. And then for the stuff packs, I used Nifty Knit and Stuff, Tiny Living and Laundry Day. I didn't actually put in a laundry room in this build. I can't remember what I used from that pack. I think it might be in the end tables that you see in a few areas and like in the hallway, but that was what I used in that pack pretty much. I think adding like a laundry room or like an outside clothing line would be really great, and I think it would fit really well with this type of pack. So if you want to do that as well, then feel free. I just didn't want to add in a laundry room, but you know, you can do that if you want to. So yeah, we've done like the main sort of structural change, which what I wanted to do was add in like a little conservatory, like a little glass extension. I saw quite a few of the other builders that built for this pack as well. In case you don't know, that is Devon Bumpkin, Hey Harry and Claire Siobhan, and a few of those builds I've seen, they did make little glass extensions here and there on the builds, which I think looks really nice. I didn't attempt to do that with this build originally, but I did try to put in a glass greenhouse, but it just looked way too modern, and I ended up taking that out, which you would have saw if you've seen the original speed build. But I was like, I want to kind of do that idea, but kind of keeping it traditional, because I thought with like, you know, upgrading it a little bit, I could do maybe put more of a modern spin onto it. But you know, this is just making some minor upgrades from kind of what I didn't have with the EA restrictions, so I didn't want to kind of change it too much. So that is another option if you want to kind of modernize it a little bit, but I thought that little glass extension worked really well and it fit kind of nicely where it was. I just kind of made the back porch a little bit smaller, and I was able to fit that in really nicely, just making a little bit of a change to the back wall of the house as well. But I really love how that looks, and it adds a lot more light into that room, because that dining room is a bit of a funny one. It's kind of like a big room, and I kind of was just a little bit stuck what to do with that space originally. So it's kind of like a big sort of grand dining room, but I think adding that little extension really works well with sort of making the space a little bit more livable, and also incorporates a lot more light because it's kind of a dark room with a colour scheme. So I think that worked really well in the end, and those windows worked really well. I don't know if I just couldn't find those when I did the greenhouse, or they just didn't really fit well with the greenhouse I was building originally. But I think those, now looking back, those windows might work kind of well with a greenhouse, kind of having a greenhouse but keeping it traditional. Because that was the problem I was having, like how do I make a traditional looking greenhouse this build? But I think those windows might look, all right in there. They're kind of like like a house type of window, not something for a greenhouse, but I think I could still make that work. So, that's something I'm going to keep in mind. But yeah, so just making another little seating area there. I suppose this could be like a living room. It's kind of multi-purpose. You've got, a little seating area there. You've got a fireplace with some armchairs, and you've got like the dining room section, but it could be used as another living room as well, I would say. Also, now that the pack's been out for a little while, I'd love to hear about what your thoughts are of it so far. Have you got it? How are you finding it with gameplay and building? And also, if you've played in any one of my 3 builds, I'd love to hear about that. I know a few of you have been sending me screenshots, which is really just surreal to see, really. So if you have any of those, make sure you send them over to me on Twitter or Instagram. My username there on both those platforms is RealThomasTV1, which is the same as my Origin ID. And also, I know I've seen a few people sort of make some adaptations to the build, renovate it in different ways to kind of fit your gameplay, which is of course totally fine. And if you do that, I'd love to see kind of how you adapt the house as well to your families that you're playing with. So make sure you show me that as well. So to this little, it's not really an extension, it's just the kind of little bit at the end of the house where the study is. I did actually decide to put a glass roof in there. That isn't something I was going to do originally, like when I was first building this house a few months ago, but I just thought it would be a nice addition and a bit of a upgrade. I was kind of trying to keep in mind that not to kind of make a modern spin on this build anyway, as I think the traditional theme kind of fits well, and I just wanted to kind of keep it like that and just make some slight improvements. But I didn't think adding in a skylight would really make it that modern. It is kind of like a modern feature, but I think it still fits, fairly well. Let me know what you think about that. So we're just making some more upgrades to the interior. Basically, what I was kind of mainly doing was just adding in some more clutter, more decoration, because I had to keep like the performance kind of at a level which can be played on all different types of computers. So for example, like in the hallways, like the end tables won't have much decoration on them. So I was just kind of going back through and adding in the decoration I could have put in. When I first built this house, because in case you I'll explain it more in the original speed build, but we kind of had passes where we'd have, a certain amount of time to kind of do so much work on the builds, and then we'll hand them in to the Sims team. We'll have a Zoom call to go over them, get a feedback document with some suggestions, and then we'll kind of go away again for, a little while and do that same process again. So my first go at doing this build, I didn't really restrict myself in terms of decorations or anything, because I wasn't really too sure what I would actually need to take out for optimization. So I kind of just did it as much stuff as I could in the first one, and then over time it sort of reduced in decoration here and there to help with the performance side. But if you watch my speed builds anyway, you know that I don't really like to use too much clutter. I try to keep my builds fairly simple, as I do that to houses that I play in myself as well. Even if it's mine or not, I do quite like the decoration to be fairly simple, as I just find it easier to play in, especially when you've got the walls down. You don't want things blocking your view. So that's kind of what my thought process is really. So that kind of worked out well with having to keep things fairly optimized, and not so much clutter in these builds. That kind of worked well for me, but I just added in some more decoration here and there. Also, one thing that was really nice was not having to not use move objects, as that was kind of a challenge at first, and no alt placement on the landscaping items, which again at first was kind of a challenge. But even after doing those builds, and I've mentioned this as well, but after going into my normal speed builds, after doing that, not using alt placement or anything, I didn't really feel the need to use those in my normal speed builds. But I didn't actually make too many adjustments to the landscaping today anyway. I just added in little bits here and there. Added in a little, it's not really a walkway arch, but it's a back frame sort of fence frame thing. I don't know how you describe it, but I put that in one of the walkways, and then just kind of added in some more landscaping around it. I was going to try and put in another pond here, but it was a little bit too cramped, so I just kind of took that all out. But I'm just showing you a little bit of the process of what I was thinking of. Let me know what you think about the pond tool so far as well. The one that's in this build is fairly simple, again for the optimization reasons, but let me know what you've done with it. I've seen a lot of moat builds which I think look really great with the pond tool, which I'll hopefully try at some point. But yeah, that's it for today's renovation / upgrade of this home. Also, another thing I forgot to mention was adding in the wisteria and the kind of climate ivy on the builds as well. That was something I really wanted to include, so I did that. Let me know what you think about that too. I think it really helps with like the country feel of it. But yes, that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. If you want to download this house, like I said, it is up on the gallery now. My origin ID is RealThomasTV1. Leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!